Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks and TYT Politics coming to you live from Washington, D.C. I'm with Emma Vigeland, our producer extraordinaire for TYT Politics. Sorry that we couldn't bring you the Women's March live during. Unfortunately, when hundreds of thousands of people all gather in one place, you can't get cell service or Wi-Fi to go live on Facebook. So we got plenty of footage from the actual march, which will be going up onto TYT Politics, youtube.com/TYT Politics. But I wanted to give you a quick recap now, just so you have the numbers before we get into DC. It's happening all over the country and all over the world today. New York has approximately 100,000 people marching. London has 100,000. Chicago has around 250,000. Los Angeles, City of Angels, 750,000. The early estimates for Washington, D.C., which I don't even know how they could count this because literally it was hard to move. The early estimates here in D.C. are 500,000. And just so you know, in comparison to the inauguration yesterday, the Trump's inauguration, the estimates are between 700,000 and 900,000. I would say that's probably way closer to 700,000. I actually have a hard time that it's even 700,000. But the early estimates for Trump's inauguration citywide is 700,000 to 900,000. When you compare that to President Obama's inauguration, his first inauguration in 2009, that's 1.8 million. So obviously Trump got his ass kicked by former President Obama. But D.C., early estimates are 500,000. And surprisingly, Los Angeles, NBC Los Angeles has reported 750,000. But I am going to cede the floor to an actual woman, Emma, so she could give her thoughts first on what she saw here in D.C. And woman.
Here I am. So yeah, I thought it was really, really lovely as an understatement, moving. So you kind of get the sense of like when you're in a sports arena and everyone kind of has a common purpose. This is better than me watching the New York Giants fail on a regular basis, but everyone has a camaraderie and everyone is excited to be there. The energy was incredibly positive. I say this as a woman, it was very moving, but also as a progressive. So there was a coalition of, yes, the Hillary people coming together with the Bernie-esque people. We saw some Bernie signs, we saw some pro-Hillary signs, some nasty woman signs. It had the feel of the 1.8 million people back in 2008 who were celebrating President Obama's inauguration. It was that same kind of joyousness that, I felt through the TV. I was actually at the 2012 inauguration, and you can only imagine what it would have been if Bernie Sanders did win. Oh, so far gone. We miss you, buddy. But yeah, it was really moving, and especially diametrically opposed to the kind of malaise and the fog and the smog that we all felt yesterday being in the city, and the violence that erupted between some anarchists and some protesters. I firsthand witnessed bottle throwing by protesters and smashing of glass, and then the, in my opinion, disproportionate police response where they were throwing stun grenades, or I forget what kind of grenade it's actually called, and using tear gas in response to those protesters. So that it was a very dark day yesterday, despite the fact that protesters tried to make it more joyous. Today was really joyous, and that was a feeling that I had participating in it and covering it. And I know that a lot of people throughout the country felt that way, felt joyous, felt motivated to fight back against an administration that doesn't seem to care about women's rights, let alone the rights of other minority or actual minority populations throughout the country.
And we should say, I mean, I can't speak for any other place because we covered it here in D.C., but there was a huge amount of men as well at the march today. You saw men with signs, stay away from her pussy, excuse my French. You saw men with signs, Black Lives Matter, LGBT rights, transgender rights, Native American rights. There was kind of a progressive smorgasbord, if you will, here, really against Trump's kind of rhetoric against many progressive policies as well as progressive groups. I wanted to ask you, Emma, also, obviously the mood was very like high energy, shall I say, but also a lot of love. But I also got a vibe from a lot of the women just by the signs of like we're coming for you, Trump. I mean, I'm not trying to be like crude, but there were a lot of signs about like pussies and stay away from my my pussies, my put I don't mean to be crude, but it's just I don't want people to think it was just love. There was a lot of women who I got the impression here in DC that are like fighting back.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the reclaiming of our, you used the word, I don't even feel like doing it, but pussy. Okay, I did it. The reclaiming of that femininity and that womanhood, especially given the fact that Mike Pence is the VP who is in charge of both foreign and domestic policy. I don't know if you know that, Jordan, but I think that's everything that the presidency entails. Who knew? But yeah, Mike Pence is going to be the guy behind the scenes that's making a lot of these decisions because Donald Trump, let's be real, doesn't have any legislative history or doesn't really care. He just is using this presidency to prop up his own ego. So Mike Pence is going to try and slip in some casually fascist and oppressive legislation that's going to hurt women. So I think a lot of what the backlash is, yeah, we've seen what you've done in Indiana, Mike Pence. We know the kind of guy that you are, and you're not going to get past this wall of women who are actually going to hold you accountable, and they're going to call you on your bullshit when you're trying to take away our reproductive rights. So I think that's a lot of it. And I also want to mention there were a lot of like big names there. This wasn't just some little march. I was standing next to Madonna and didn't even know it. Amy Schumer was there. I saw Van Jones. Bunch of people.
My girl Scarlett Johansson.
I almost forgot I saw Scarlett Johansson.
Not in love with the haircut, but that's okay.
Yeah, the haircut's a little masculine, but yeah. Scarlett Johansson was there. Who else? Oh, Cher, Jason Sudeikis, from My Cousin Vinny.
Oh, Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei. Just a bunch of great people. So Reverend Jesse Jackson was there as well. So lots of big names, people that are standing. Although I'm sure a lot of the people in the Rust Belt in the middle of the country don't give a damn about what celebrities are there going against Trump. That was part of the problem in the first place. But good to mention that there were a lot of big names there.
Yeah, and
For those who just recently joined this video, the reason we're doing it from a hotel room is literally you can't go live from the march. It's impossible. There's hundreds of thousands of people there. My cell had no service. Emma's cell had no service. Nomiki, our colleague, couldn't go live. So we wanted to go live as soon as possible to just give you a recap. I also interviewed President Abraham Lincoln in a debate with President Trump. So stay tuned for that video. It's going to be awesome. My other thoughts were, as you know, if you watch me on TYT Politics, I'm kind of a cynical person, right? I don't have any love for corporate Democrats. I definitely don't have love for Trump. But it seemed to me like there really wasn't much division. I was expecting more division between like Bernie people and Hillary people, but it was more just like free love, Woodstock. I really saw no protest against neoliberalism or protest against Hillary Clinton for creating Trump or any of that stuff. It really was an intergenerational, very diverse. I wouldn't even call it a protest. I just a coming together. There also were a ton of children, which I thought was awesome, with their parents. And we interviewed. I think we interviewed everyone. I mean, whether white, African American, Muslim, Asian, Latino. There was just. This was not Donald Trump's inauguration, which looked like a 1950s, sitcom with all white. This was like a diverse cross section. I'll also say, because I always like to keep it real, and I don't think we should only focus on Trump. Yes, Trump has said fascist things, and he's surrounding himself with very scary people. If you weren't paying attention, his EPA nominee the other day would not give a straight answer if he thinks climate change is created by man-made activities. His Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, nominee, has said racist thing after racist thing and has racist policy. The education nominee, Betsy DeVos, would not give a straight answer if she thinks teachers should be packing AR-15s in school. Rick Perry, infamously, who could not remember the Energy Department was the department he wanted to get rid of. He said some crazy things at his hearing, and it just goes down the list. Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State nominee, is the CEO of ExxonMobil. Pretty much wouldn't give a straight answer on, his diplomatic experience, how he wants to handle ISIS, any of these things. So there's definitely dangerous things happening with Trump. I also, in watching Trump's speech, I didn't see it live, but watching it, it really had, he kind of likes this fake populism and this fake populist tone, but it kind of had some undertones that reminded me a little bit of Hitler. I mean, I'm a Jew. I've heard Hitler speeches in the past, not in person, obviously, but I've watched old speeches, and it was very, there was a lot of fascist tendencies. I don't say that to fearmonger. It's just what I saw. But I did want to say, in fairness, if we're keeping it real, because I think what the Young Turks is really good at is we call it, whether it's Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter. There were corporate Democrat establishment stooges there. Cory Booker, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, was wearing a pink scarf. Could not miss the photo op. And CNN interviewed Cory Booker. And if you haven't been paying attention, Cory Booker recently voted against an amendment that Senator Bernie Sanders, Senator Amy Klobuchar had put forward to basically bring imported drugs from Canada into America at a cheaper price. So cheaper drug prices. That's a good thing, right? Well, Senator Cory Booker, who at the DNC quoted Maya Angelou in defense of Hillary Clinton, decided to vote against that. So Cory Booker was on with CNN and talking about how we need to save Obamacare. Of course, CNN didn't challenge him. Hey, you're here at a women's march with a pink scarf talking about saving Obamacare. However, didn't you just vote basically against cheaper drugs? Wouldn't that, possibly kill some of the women at this march? I want to get Emma's views. Cory Booker is her home state senator, and she was very fired up when Cory Booker voted against this. The floor is yours.
The floor, Senator Jordan Sheridan. No, look, Cory Booker is the worst. And you and I were just talking who's worse, Hillary Clinton or Cory Booker. Cory Booker, because he loves the spotlight. Hillary Clinton, no, she's not like a great public speaker. Cory Booker loves being at the center of attention and public speaking, yet he has no legislation and no substance to back it up. It's not even just corporatist legislation. It's like basically 90% of what he does is renaming post office. He is the worst kind of senator. He has no substance. He is just all flash, and he'll wear a pink scarf and he'll show up at the fancy events and he'll give a fiery speech. What bugged me so much about Cory Booker, not to get off on too much of a tangent, but it was the same day when he voted against that amendment that he stood up to Jeff Sessions in an unprecedented move. His staff made it clear to the press that a sitting senator had never testified against another sitting senator in history, which, like, I don't even think it's that big of a deal, but his staff made sure that everyone knew that because he loves the spotlight. So what we can't stand for and what cannot happen is harnessing this populist energy and this grassroots energy that Bernie discussed and what we just experienced in this women's march and funneling it and being fooled by a candidate like Cory Booker. We need to have actual progressive candidates in the future because Cory Booker is going to try and ride this wave and ride this movement and ride this coming together of progressive and liberal people throughout the country who are coming together against a candidate like Trump, against a president like Trump. We can't have someone capitalize off of that without any substance. So Cory Booker, we're done with you. We don't need your veneer anymore. We're moving on to actual progressive candidates, and even someone like Elizabeth Warren, who did speak at the event today.
Right. So I guess
I brought up Cory Booker, and there were other what I would consider corporate Democrats who spoke in D.C. and around the country. Was just to make the point: do I think these politicians who spoke genuinely care about female reproductive rights and equal pay for equal women? Yes, I do. Maxine Waters spoke today, Barbara Lee, Sheila Jackson Lee. I think on social issues, these women definitely have fought for women's rights. Economic issues, it's a little more muddy. They do serve platitudes up and then kind of don't follow through. That's the essence of neoliberalism. But I wanted to get back to Trump for a second. Another thing that really stood out to me was, the difference between the anti-Trump people and the Trump people. And I saw this, and Emma saw this on the road covering the campaign. Trump people, I don't mean to insult because they're not all this way, but they kind of just got taken by a fairy tale. Mom or dad reads you something and Santa's real and all this stuff. Like, they got conned. But most of the people I spoke to today, even when I tried in questions to be like devil's advocate, like, hey, Trump has tweaked his tone a little bit towards women. Does that help? They ain't buying it. Most of the people here are smart to what Donald Trump's trying to do. They even knew the history of some of his nominees. And I think that's a really good sign because it means that the public is better informed. The public knows Trump's policies. They know a few folks knew about Mike Pence and the crazy policies that he tried to put forward as Indiana governor, which included making women who have miscarriages bury the fetus. So if you miscarry after a month, and essentially, I'm no doctor, but essentially what you have is cells. In Mike Pence's Indiana, he wanted you to have to bury those cells. So this is now the vice president of the United States. Again, not all Trump supporters are bad. I don't want to generalize. But today, I thought it was really good that most of the people knew the policy and most of the people were not buying Trump, even as he has tried to tweak his tone here and there. The other thing that I thought was really good, and I'd like to know what you think, when Bernie talks about, change comes from the bottom up, right? It doesn't come from the top down. And we need to organize and we need grassroots activism. This like at this point, worldwide march, which early estimates in total are 2.5 million across the world. This started like literally 2 months ago as a Facebook page. So something that started 2 months ago, I think the day after Trump was elected, turned into this. Obviously, from Facebook, it was organized around the world, but it's not easy to pull off something like this. So it shows, Bernie's not directly involved, but it shows that if you could bring people together in a unifying message, if that message is authentic, if there is a common enemy, I would say Bernie's common enemy was, the plutocrats and the people keeping us down. The Women's March, common enemy, wasn't just Donald Trump, but everything Donald Trump represents. White male politicians that are trying to move the country backwards. If you could do that in 2 months, just from an original Facebook page, imagine what you could do in 4 years at all the crazy things he's going to try to push through. What do you think about that, Emma?
I agree. I guess this movement is an indication that the political revolution is afoot, even with Bernie Sanders not being president. What I caution everyone watching and anyone who wants to get involved...
Don't be a Debbie Downer!
I'm trying not to, but we can't let it lose steam. There's a lot of energy right now. This is day 1 or day 2 of President Trump. On day 1,461, I think that's how many days are left, we still have to be doing the same thing. So what's hard about political engagement and progressivism is that it requires you to be in it for the long haul. You can't just sit on your ass and just go and protest when you feel like it. You have to be on social media, you have to be looking up events in your area, you have to be participating in the midterm elections and looking up which candidates are actually representing you. I think that it's begun, but I really want people to emphasize long-term engagement with this kind of progressivism and this kind of movement. So, yeah, we resist. Let's go. Let's do it. We can do it. Come on. Right?
Right. And I think the most important thing for continued resistance is subscribing to TYT Politics. That would be youtube.com/TYT Politics, which if you're not subscribed by now, I don't really know what the hell you're doing. We have great videos up already from the inauguration yesterday. We're trying to churn out more videos from Inauguration Day. Poor Emma almost got shot by a grenade. Police were, throwing grenades like they do in Standing Rock, only this time in Washington, D.C. Police were tossing, exploding tear gas towards protesters. I want to say, just so you have the context, and were fair, there definitely were some a very considerable amount of protesters that were being aggressive, that were looting, that were breaking store windows, that were tossing things at the police. So it wasn't like Standing Rock, where I could honestly say it was 100% unarmed and peaceful water protectors. Here, there definitely was aggression on the protest side. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I think the police response was disproportionate. I don't think if you get like a water bottle thrown at you, the answer is to tear gas someone. I personally saw a police officer mace somebody in the face just because that protester took his foot off of the grass and put it into the street. He was maced in the face. So this just shows you that, again, police are able to do illegal things. They're allowed to, break people's human rights, and usually there's no consequences for them. They were provoked by protesters. Not all the protesters. There was way more peaceful protesters than any aggressive, like agitators, as Bill O'Reilly would say. But just for the context, there definitely was some more aggressive form of protest. But those videos, again, youtube.com/TYTpolitics. We're going to get videos up from today's Women's March as fast as we can. And as usual, we try to get videos up on TYT Politics every day. And Cenk has recently hired Nomiki as a reporter. He announced yesterday a new reporter named Michael Tracy, who I happen to like a lot. So we're expanding, and hopefully more good stuff is to come. So thank you for watching. Again, youtube.com/TYTpolitics, or like TYT Politics on the Facebook. Have a great rest of the weekend.